In this daily drop, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the newly announced Fujifilm Gfx Eterna. So let's go. Okay, everybody, I am in my, what one viewer of the weekly live stream called Johnny Cash outfit, and the insane Jem Schofield who says APS-C instead of APS-C. I never referred to myself in the third person, but I thought it was a ridiculous comment that was part of some other very good comments related to yesterday's episode about this announcement of a new medium format based cinema camera from Fujifilm. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more about it in today's episode. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, and I probably won't do anything else on this camera until we glean a lot more information. But I do want to say, and not in a way to defend Fuji in any way, shape, or form, but to just say that this is very much a camera that is in development. It's not a camera that's at Interbee in Japan right now and is coming to market by end of year. It's coming out in 2025, which gives it some real time for development. And if any of the emails that I got today from Fuji that had nothing to do with my episode or me personally are any indication, it definitely sounds like in a lot of ways the company is very much in a development process. Though that said, when you see the camera body, and we're seeing more pictures of it now on sites like newsshooter.com and cined.com, it is obvious that they're pretty far along in terms of the development process. To me, the big questions are what other glass will work with the camera system? What is Fuji's answer to the G to PL mount adapter using, I would assume, largely full frame lenses or full frame lenses that may be able to cover larger than a 35 millimeter, 36 by 24 millimeter sensor, and also what choices they make outside of, if they do, the GFX 100 Mark II in terms of cropping, codecs, open gate, anamorphic. There's a lot of questions to be answered, and if all they do is rehouse that particular camera into this body, that may be enough for some people, but there is and has been a rehousing project that already exists to that end to a degree, or not to that degree. It is there. And so I think that this camera, especially being their first cinema camera to the market, really has to be something that's checking or ticking some boxes that we're not seeing with every other camera system. I said it yesterday, I'll say it again. I think the big conversation is not going to be between this new GFX Eterna and something like the Alexa 65. It's really going to be between this camera and Blackmagic 17K Ursa Cine camera, which is also essentially a 65 millimeter sensor. So I think the fact that we have two cameras coming to market, new cameras coming to market with a larger sensor like this, does definitely open up the conversation for lens manufacturers to start to make more lenses that will cover these. We have seen a huge change in the glass market for lenses in the industry in the last few years. So there's a lot more than the normal cast of characters making glass and making unique glass. Venus Optics with their Laowa line, you've got Nisi, you've got a lot of different companies, of which I'm going blank on right now, but there's a lot. Blazar, even companies like Suray are making lenses. And so from that standpoint, I think that that could be an interesting avenue or opening for, for lenses in this particular space. And the question is, how much opportunity is there? And how much will Fuji allow the community to contribute ideas. It's not going to be wholesale, but hopefully some key cinematographers and people who are using kit like this can give some input and feedback that can make it into the camera system. Now, looking at the new images, it does look like there are screens on both sides of the camera, which is great. It looks like this front dial for focus, iris, zoom, so for fizz, also has one more notch, which looks to be for ND. So my guess is we're going to get built-in neutral density filters in the camera. And there's still a lot of questions here, but I felt it warranted a second episode. There are a lot of concerns in terms of the comments and from posts on my channel and also elsewhere about the readout speeds of the camera system, because that is definitely one of the issues when capturing motion images on the GFX 100 Mark II, and that hopefully, even though they're saying it's the same sensor, same processor in that camera, there's things that can get worked out to mitigate those problems with those readout speeds, because we don't want a jello camera. That does not work well in today's market. And if they really want to make a play, meaning Fuji, into this larger format camera space, they are going to have to come out of the gate with something that's going to address most of the needs of people who might be looking for a camera like that. Now, the name of the game right now is APS-C or APS-C, if you want me to say that, super 35 millimeter sensors, and of course, full frame sensors, sometimes called large format, but now large format's being used for any sensor that's basically 35 millimeter, 36 by 24 or larger. This is being considered, the GFX Eterna, a large format camera. I would rather stick with, saying that when we're looking at the three sensor sizes that, the two that are most popular are APS-C, APS-C, super 35 millimeter sensors, all around the same size, slightly different depending on the manufacturer. That is probably the most popular sensor size. And then we have full frame 35 millimeter sensors, which we're seeing in lots and lots and lots of new cameras, including many of the hybrid cameras that are on the market. And then what's going to happen? We're not hearing a lot about micro four thirds, which is smaller than super 35. We are starting to get these rumblings about medium format. And to me, that's what I think we're talking about. We're talking about medium format. We're in that 65 millimeter to 70 millimeter range. It's really, when you look at the GFX series from Fuji, it's kind of like IMAX in your pocket. Well, this is taking the concept of that large, film size that is in an IMAX camera and putting it into cine cameras, both Blackmagic design and Fujifilm. So I guess we're going to have to see how this all plays out, both in the acceptance and adoption from the community going to this larger sensor size. And my guess is it's going to take time. But again, I think both Blackmagic Design and Fuji have to get it pretty much right from the get-go. If it's going to have lots of issues or is going to be crippled in many ways, that's going to be a problem for the potential success of either of those camera systems. But I think that overall, it's exciting that we're seeing that. Does the economy support it? Does the current landscape having to do with what may be happening with tariffs and things like that support it? I'm not sure. We in the United States are one of the largest consumers of products related to video production and cinematography. We are by no means the only one. And Europe, of course, China is a huge production community in terms of what's being done over there. There are entire product lines and not product categories, but there's product lines in a product category that don't even make it here to the United States related to lights and sometimes lenses and sometimes cameras and things like that, that just don't really play in this particular country. But it is one of the most important places that is looked at in terms of whether or not a product line is going to be successful or not. If we're not in the United States adopting a particular light fixture, camera, something else, it can have success elsewhere, but it's generally not going to be considered a worldwide success. So that's a little bit of rambling on this topic today. I still think it's a good move from Fujifilm to go this route. It just depends on what the end product is of that particular camera in terms of what its potential success could be. I don't think they should have gone with the smaller sensor. Going into that or the full frame market is kind of like camera suicide with everything else that's there. So this does make sense to me in terms of making a choice to enter the cine space when it comes to a camera. Love to hear your thoughts. Lots of engagement on yesterday's episode. I hope there's the same on this one. Don't forget to, and I'll see you on the next episode of The Daily Drop.